Hey everyone, welcome to the Unpack. And today, we're going to unpack some music. If you've ended up on this video, you might be wondering, what is the Unpack? The Unpack is a show that I've had in mind to do for a while where I just unpack stuff. And what is unpacking? Unpacking is just talking about stuff in detail, maybe songs, albums, artists. Rather than just playing music, I wanted to unpack music. And that's what we're going to do today. So in between listening to the song, talking about the song, my goal with the Unpack is to give all the information, all the details behind a particular artist, a particular song. For this first episode, we're going to talk about the song Don't Stop Believin' by Chord. From its song structure to its chord progression, there's so much to unpack about Don't Stop Believin'. Journey was formed in 1973 in San Francisco, and they've been around for a few years before Don't Stop Believin' was even created. When Jonathan Cain joined Journey in 1980, he actually brought with him the roots of the song. There's a lot behind his story, and before coming to Journey, he was a struggling musician. His father kept telling him, "Don't stop believin'," and that was something that seemed to stick with him that he had to make into a song. It was when him, Steve Perry, and Neil Sean got together that they started to collaborate on the song. What's crazy about Don't Stop Believin' is that it wasn't always a mega success. It did peak on the top Billboard charts at number 9 in the US. After it was released in the 80s, there wasn't much about the song until it was then later used in an Adam Sandler movie, The Wedding Singer. It was even featured in the ending of The Sopranos. But it wasn't until 2009 that a show called Glee used it as their pilot song. What's really cool about the Glee version is that it kind of breathed a new life into the song. Although Don't Stop Believin' has been said to be one of the most classic rock songs of all time, the Glee version uses the style of a cappella to make the song come to life. This reimagined version peaked at number 1 and allowed the original version to come back at number 4. What's crazy that I did learn though is that the Glee show originally wanted to use Viva La Vida by Coldplay, but were denied the rights. So let's dive into the song. It starts off with that iconic intro. It's interesting that as classic of a song as this is, the song structure is really unique. The lead vocalist, Steve Perry, actually wanted the chorus to be at the very end of the song, and most of what we hear is a verse, a pre-chorus, and all that's building to lead up to the chorus itself. Just a small town girl, living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere. Apparently, there's no such place as South Detroit. Allegedly, they were working on the song in Detroit, and nothing sounded quite as good as South Detroit. North Detroit, East Detroit, West Detroit, nothing quite sounded as good. However, some other allegations are talking about how the song was actually written in LA, and that's where they saw people walking in the streetlights, potentially on the boardwalk, by the beach, and that's where streetlight people became the lyric. Whether there's a South Detroit or not, it sounds fine. For a smile they can share the night. It goes on and on and on and on. Steve Perry, the main vocalist, wanted a driving force that led us to the chorus at the very end. The pre-chorus has a lot of mixed chords that make us anticipate what's coming next. And we hear that in every pre-chorus. It really helps us to get amped and excited for what's coming next, especially when we get to the chorus at the very end. Streetlight people, living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the night. Although the song structure is really unique, the chord progression really isn't. That's not a bad thing. It's actually one of the most heavily used chord progressions in all pop songs. And what is that 4-chord progression? Let's start with a chord. A chord is a series of notes that, when played together, sound a certain way. Whether it's major or minor. And then when played together in a series of chords, you have a chord progression. Don't Stop Believin' is an E major. So the first chord we hear is E major. In music theory, we also use Roman numerals. So this is Roman numeral 1. The progression goes from 1, followed by major 5, After major 5, we go to minor 6. Just before we go back to the beginning, we go to major 4. And then we return to major 1. Our ears are so trained to listen for that chord progression, and there's even a lot of psychology behind how chords work together harmoniously, but it works so well that your ear wants to hear certain things. When you hear that first major chord, it sounds good. When you go to that 5 chord, you can tell it's moving, maybe picking up a little speed. When we get to that minor 6 chord, there's a lot of drama, a lot of tension. And then moving to major 4, sounds nice, but we're ready to even go back to the major 1. So where was this chord progression even created? It was actually composed by a Baroque composer, Johann Pachelbel, who was born in 1653. It's kind of crazy that we're still using his chord progression all the way till this day. He actually created the chord progression for a piece called Canon in D, which might sound familiar by name, but even more familiar when you hear it played. Sound familiar? It's one of the most used pieces at pretty much every wedding that you ever go to. Now, the chord progression that we're talking about for pop music doesn't use that full chord progression. It actually only uses those 4 chords. But it's the same idea. The chord progression stemmed from that piece. To give you an example of how it's so heavily used in pop music, can you feel the love tonight? And she will be loved, and she will be loved. I'm on the edge of glory, and I'm hanging on a moment with you. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. It's truly crazy how if you know one chord progression, you can play millions of songs. There's a really good video out there by the band Axis of Awesome that I'll attach a link below. It's called 4 Chords, and they play a ton of songs that all use that 4 chord progression. Swiggy, is now a good time? You gotta go. Do you have anything to say? Yeah? Okay, bye. Anyways, don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Street light people. Don't stop. From song structure to chord progression to lyrics, that's all I had to unpack about Don't Stop Believin'. If I missed something or there's something else that you thought was really interesting, let me know. Also, if there's a song, artist, or album that you want to hear unpacked, let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about music. Until next time, thanks so much for watching. Bye.